Hey, folks, we got a great call lineup, and I'm anticipating this like you are, but the close a month out of September. Oh, my God. Her topic is a 90-day game plan featuring the one and only, the great regional director out of Fresno, California, Miss Natasha Ismail.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Thomas. How's everyone doing? But thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. I'm so excited to be here. And, I just want to tell you, Mr. Thomas, that you've been one of the most instrumental people in our lives since we met you. And I always think about where we'd be if he didn't have the courage to do something different. If he would have just stuck to his real estate investing and doing all of that, and if he didn't have the resiliency to go through the negativity, if he didn't have the power to push through, if he didn't have the power to just see people's potential and just not give up on people. And, the thousands of lives that he has changed would not have been changed. So including ours. So Mr. Thomas, I want to thank you so much for just doing what you did, and that we love you. And I can't wait to see you again. And just for not giving up on your dreams or any of us. So if we can go ahead and give him a round of applause, because, he deserves it all the time, always. So I don't know who's excited, but Q4 starts tomorrow. But technically we're going to start it today. So I'm going to help everybody start it early. Okay. So I hope everybody is sitting up straight. You're like awake. You had your coffee. And if you haven't, then I'll be your shot of espresso or whatever you need to wake up. Dave Culver has his coffee. Miss Pat's laughing. It's true. Okay. So if you guys have your journals or notes in front of you, what I'm going to do today is basically bring everything together. So I was up until I think 2 a.m. working on this message because, of course, I had a plan, and then last minute God was like, nope, you're going to talk about something else. So I had to go with it. So I'm going to bring everything together. Now, what Miss Solomon talked about on Monday, what Mr. Lewis talked about on Tuesday, and what Mr. Williams talked about on Wednesday, everything is going to come together today. And if you stick till the end, I really pray that somebody hears exactly what it is that they need to hear in order to change the next 90 days for yourself, because what you do the next 90 days can determine the rest of your life if you do it right. So I want everyone to just imagine us in a locker room today. If you guys want to call me Coach Tosh or whatever, that's fine. Okay. But do I have your permission to give you some secrets, number one? And number two, do I have your permission to give you some straight talk today? Okay, everybody said yes. Miss Saylor, is that a yes? I see you, beautiful lady. Okay, all right. So tomorrow is the beginning of the last quarter of 2021. Now, for a second, I want everybody to think it's been 18 months since we've been going through whatever it is that is happening, okay? I want you to think back right before everything happened. Where were you physically? Where were you mentally? Where were you spiritually? Where were you financially? And where were you in this business? So just think about it for a second to yourself. Everybody got it? Now I need you guys in the chat for this part, okay? So right now, after 18 months, if you reflect back, I'm going to ask you a couple simple questions, and I just want you to put a yes or no in the chat. And I want everybody to know this is like a no judgment zone, and we should already know that, but I'm just letting you know that just in case you don't know that already. But are you better physically than you were 18 months ago now? Yes or no? Okay, Julian, I already know. Okay, I already know. But are you better physically right now than you were 18 months ago? Yes or no? And if you don't want to answer, you don't have to answer. That's fine. But this is just, I want everybody to reflect on where you are now compared to where you were before. Okay, cool. So majority are yeses. That's great. That's really good. We took advantage, right? Now, mentally, are you better than you were 18 months ago? Yes or no? And I thank you guys for being honest. The ones that are saying no, I mean that you guys are being vulnerable, and I thank you guys for that. Okay. All right, what about spiritually? Are you better and closer to where you want to be spiritually now versus 18 months ago? Okay, good. I'm getting yeses. That's good. Okay. What about financially? Financially, are you better now than you were 18 months ago? And guys, people that are being honest, it takes courage to be honest with questions like these, because this is like some real life reflection. Okay. Now, the last question, what about in your business? Are you further now compared to 18 months ago? So I want you guys to notice something. The answers that had the most no's was the last one, was the business one. And granted, I mean, we did go through stuff and, you know, everybody had to figure things out. I had to figure things out. Mr. Thomas had to figure things out. The Kings, Ms. Driscoll, everyone had to pivot and everyone had to make some different decisions. But the reason I asked everybody these questions is I want everyone to just take a second and reflect, because I know we've had a lot of reflection time, but how many of us have actually sat down and thought about, okay, am I better in all of these pillars of my life compared to where I was 18 months ago when this started? Because when I realized that it's been a year and a half, when I realized that we've literally been, basically our life has been on pause for the last year and a half. How many of us have really actually been able to live life or do anything? Exactly. And there's a reason I asked that question, because I know Mr. Thomas was going to raise his hand. So understand the reason that he was able to travel, he was able to go all the way to Seattle just to eat some seafood, just because he wanted a meal from there, which is still crazy. But it's because he is where he wants to be in his business. He's not satisfied, because obviously you always want more, but he was able to reach that point of freedom. And when you have that, you have other options. You're able to focus more on your physicality. You're able to actually go work out at the gym and not be stressed out. You're able to eat better foods because you can buy better foods, because you can afford better foods. How many of us would rather just go to Walmart to get your groceries than go to like some organic store where you know you're going to spend $250 when you go in just to get some milk? Exactly. Like, I'm just being honest. Okay. There's times I'm like, I'm just going to go to Walmart. Like, I could find everything there, right? Compared to just going to a specialty store and doing all of that. But understand that that's the business part. The last part that a lot of people said no to is the part that I'm going to help you with today. So I don't know who's ready for that. I don't know who wants the secret sauce, who wants the game plan, who wants the secret play. I see Miss Belinda and Miss Catherine like waving at me like crazy, and now Miss Pat Robinson and nobody else did it. So I'm just going to tell them, maybe not everybody else. I'm just kidding. Okay. So everybody goes through all of these phases. Now, what matters is, do you get back up when you fall down? When you're down, do you get back up or do you stay down? Because you guys know I love Rocky, okay? So one of the things that I love about him is no matter how much he gets hit, no matter how many punches the other person hits, he gets up. Get knocked down 7 times, get back up 8 times. You do not stay down, because that's how you lose. When life punches you in the mouth, do you stay down or do you get back up? Do you get up and say, is that all you got? Do you give up or do you get up? Write that down. Do you give up or do you get up? I remember Christmas Eve, right before everything happened. And I was sitting in my living room and I decided to finally watch a movie that one of my mentors had been telling me to watch for weeks, because, you know, sometimes we're not always coachable right away. So it took me a few weeks to actually have the time to sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to watch this movie. And I sat there by myself on Christmas Eve because everybody else was working. And I watched this movie 3 times in a row and I cried. and I cried and I cried and I cried and I bawled my eyes out. And I sat there thinking to myself, how long am I going to be like this? How long am I going to keep pushing down my potential? How long am I going to be scared to go after my dreams? How long am I going to care about other people's opinions about what it is that I'm doing with my life to better my family's life? Because they're not going to come pay my bills. I don't see their name on my bills. My name is on my bills. So whose responsibility is it? Mine. How long am I going to keep holding myself back? And then I ask myself, what's holding me back? What do you guys think it was? I don't know if anybody's ever had a moment like that where you're talking to yourself and it's that point. It's just a pivotal moment in your life. And it was myself. So I told myself, this is the last Christmas that I'm going to be by myself. It's the last time that I'm ever going to feel like this. So what did I do? I started thinking about a game plan. I said, okay, Tasha, you got this. You love Rocky. You watch Rocky all the time now. It's your Rocky moment. So I said, how am I going to do this? And I started thinking, and at that point, I didn't have 90 days left like all of us do right now. So we're all going to be ahead of schedule. Because Mr. Thomas, I remember him telling us he starts his new year 11 days ahead of everybody else. So December 20th, if you guys want to wish him Happy New Year, he celebrates his new year. I know where he goes. I know what he does. And I was like, you know what? Success leaves clues. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do what Mr. Thomas does. So I decided on Christmas Eve of that year, I'm going to start my New Year's. I'm going to do everything that people do on the 31st. They wait till the last day to set their goals and then get drunk, forget about them the next day, and then say, okay, now I got to start going to the gym. And then February comes around and they're like, I'm done with this. Like, it's not for me, right? So I started thinking, and I remembered a training by a regional vice president, Platinum, COC, about something, and it clicked for me. And I said, you know what? What do I have to lose? It's like, I could try it. Let me just try that, right? I have nothing to lose. So this right here was going to be my secret weapon. This right here was the plan that if I was sitting in a locker room with my coach and they told me this, I was going to be like, done deal. No questions asked. This is it. This is what I'm doing. This plan was the one thing that was able to get us to put in over 280 points in just a couple of months. It helped us remove the attachment to the emotion at the end when somebody responds to you. Are they going to do this with you or not? It helped us with our exposures. It helped us with our follow-up. So I don't know who wants to know, who wants to know what it is, right? Winston just like, can you just tell me already, Mr. Payan? Okay, so the 100 squares. The 100 squares, guys, is one of the most simple and genius systems and game plans that you can use to push your business forward. Now, I've explained this. I think I did a training on it a long time ago, but I'm going to explain this. And if you miss it, don't worry, because it's recorded. So you go back and listen to the recording, okay? So I know a couple of people had their 100 squares because they still send me pictures of it, and they have their teacups right by it, which is so cool. So what you want to do is get a poster board. Yes, it was Mr. Jeff Street. Yep. So what you want to do is get a poster board. Okay. Now this can be a big poster board, however big you want it. If you hang this up and look at this every day and you see empty squares, your goal is to fill that up as fast as possible. Now I'm going to give you a challenge at the end, but your goal is to fill this up as fast as possible. So now what you're going to do is divide that poster board into 100 squares. Okay. And you know, the funny thing, this can be used for basically any profession. If you're a real estate agent or you do other stuff, I mean, to keep track of people that you're talking to, this is genius because it's all right in front of you. And I love paper, not like a Excel sheet. No, I don't do that. I'm old school. So every time you show somebody the business, or every time somebody sees the business, you're going to write their name in the box. Okay. Their name, 4 things. Okay. You're going to put 4 things in the box: their name, the date, how or where you met them, just a little note so that you don't forget and you remember, okay? And number 4 is going to be the outcome. So did they become a business partner? Did they become a customer? Did they say not right now? Did they just like hang up? Like what happened? Okay, you want the outcome. So name, date, how or where you met them, and the outcome. Now, the reason for this is if you know you can follow up with somebody every 60 to 90 days, this is perfect because it helps you keep track. So in my boxes, that's all I write. Okay, that's all I write. Now, when I tell you, we didn't even get halfway through the 100 squares and we hit our D. And we were 281 points out. In 2 months, we put in those points because of the 100 squares. Now, the reason why it works is because it's so simple. And a lot of times people get attached to the outcome. We get attached to, okay, what is this person going to say? What is somebody going to say? You know, all of the stuff that does it doesn't matter. It's a yes or a no. Like it's not a big deal. If they want to do it, great. If not, great. Right. So think about when Mr. Lewis covered rejection on Tuesday. He already covered it. So a couple points I'm going to go over is people's responses are hardwired. You need to understand that. So if I ask you guys, hey, how are you? What's your response? Good. How are you? If you're Mr. Thomas, oh, I can't walk on water yet, but how are you? Right? He'll give like one of those answers. That's why I didn't ask him. But if I say, how are you? Your response is going to be good. How are you? Because you're wired. You're wired to the point where it's such a quick reaction that if somebody asks you, how are you? You know how you're going to respond. So sometimes when you show people this business, they give you a response. They'll either say, oh, it's not for me, or I'm not interested. That's their surface hardwired, good, how are you? That's that surface response that is hardwired into them. And especially right now, because everybody's online, imagine how many people come at you for like other stuff, right? So they built this little mechanism and this little response so that people just kind of leave them alone, right? Now, there's a book called Overcoming Rejection Will Make You Rich. This was recommended by Aaron Burt, SVP. Overcoming rejection will make you rich. So if you're in anything that gets rejections, anything like that, that book will help. So if you guys want the link, just message me on Instagram or something. I'll put it over there later because it's really far right now. So a rejection, the author says, Julian, a rejection should never be taken at face value. It could be that they just don't understand, but they're saying, oh, it's not for me because it saves face. Because they feel better about saying it's not for me versus, oh, I don't understand that. Because we know that people have egos, right? So for somebody to be like, I don't get it is a big deal. Not everybody's going to be that open and honest with you. So do not take rejection as a personal insult. Do not. If you do, you're going to be out of the game as soon as you get in it. So you just follow the process. Okay, you don't try to convince them. All of that, he covered that. Now, if I asked everybody who wants chocolate covered strawberries right now, raise your hand. If I had a bunch of chocolate covered strawberries right now, raise your hand. Okay, look at everybody on the screen. Did everybody raise their hand? Mr. Thomas is so excited. He probably has some already. No, so everybody did not raise their hand. Now, if I look around and I'm like, okay, Mr. Sam Foster, you didn't raise your hand. Why don't you like chocolate covered strawberries? Am I going to sit there and do that? It would be a waste of time for me to do that, right? I mean, ask him why he doesn't like strawberries. So some people are going to raise their hands right away, be super, super excited like Mr. Thomas. So those are all my red apples. Okay. Some people are going to say, well, what kind of chocolate are we talking? Is it milk chocolate? Is it dark chocolate? I got to know. You got sprinkles on it. You got some walnuts on it. What's happening? Like they want to know the details. Those are the green apples. And then you got the people that are like, I don't like fruit. I think it's evil. I don't like strawberries. I don't want them. I don't like them. I don't do them. If I sat there and talked to those people and tried to convince them and got mad at them for not wanting chocolate covered strawberries, how stupid of me would that be? Exactly. So that's exactly what we're doing with this business. When you're offering somebody the business, you're offering them a chocolate covered strawberry. You know it's good. You know it's like a really, really good dessert. You know that hard chocolate shell and then the soft, juicy strawberry inside. You know how good it is. But if they don't see it right now, or if they don't like chocolate covered strawberries, then you're not going to sit there and convince them. The ones that want to make money with you are going to come with you. The ones that want to build a global business online in their pajamas, because I'm wearing my pajama bottoms right now. The people that want to build something big from their pajamas at home or anywhere they want, they're going to join you. You're the offerer, okay? Period. Now I'm going to end with this, and then I'm going to give you the play at the end, the challenge at the end. So one day in the jungle, there was a lion just minding his own business, okay? And he hears some rustling sounds in the leaves. And next thing you know, whoosh, there's just darkness. And after some time, he was taken to a place and he found himself in a cage. He was tied up with chains everywhere. And he roared and he yanked at the chains with all his might, but nothing happened. He was captured and taken to a circus. He was whipped and trained on how to act, how to do tricks every single day. And he knew if he didn't obey that there were going to be consequences. So every day after the training, he was escorted back to his cage with his chains, and he tried to fight. He roared as loud as he could. The whole ground shook, but every single day that passed, he started losing some of his fight. He started losing some of his hope. He started losing that killer instinct. And eventually he started to give up. And he's like, you know what? I don't think I'm ever going to get out of here. I don't think I'm ever going to see my family again. I might as well just do what they want me to do and just stay here. So one day the captors opened the cage so he could go perform. He did his routine. And as soon as it was over, again, he started being escorted back to the cage. His head was down, his shoulders were slumped, and he was so discouraged because he knew this is what his life was going to be for the rest of his life. So he got to the cage and he stopped. And then he raised a paw and he waited for them to put the chains back on. And he waited and waited, and no chains. They didn't put the chains on. So what do you think he did? They opened up the cage door and he put himself back into the cage. So I don't know who this is for, but I know somebody needs to hear this. A lot of times we start to lose our fight and our belief right before we get our moment. We start to give up right before we get our chance because we know it gets the hardest right before you're about to have your breakthrough. The breakdown always comes before the breakthrough. So how many of us have felt captured before? It could be by anything. It could be by the day-to-day grind. We get up, go to work, come home, eat, and sleep. We look forward to the weekend because you ain't got to go to work. You're wasting 5 days because you're looking forward to 2 days because the whole week we're performing. We're so trained and wired that one day when our chains are off, we don't even realize it and we put ourselves back into the cage. We dream about how it's going to be one day. One day I'll take my family to Disneyland. One day I'm not going to be stressed out about paying the bills. One day I'm going to be able to go get a full tank of premium gas and not worry about it. One day I'm going to have the dream car that I want. One day I'm going to pay off all my debt. One day I'm going to have my dream home. But then one day is going to turn into someday. And Oprah says it's one day or day one, and you get to decide that. So you can say, this is it, or you can say, this is it. How different was the same phrase because of the way that you said it? You get to decide that. So you can look at it as the end. You can look at it as the beginning. You get to decide that. This business coming to you was the chains being taken off, but some of us are so wired and trained that we just go back right into the cage by ourselves. But all of you are different because you're here. You're a different breed. You're here. And it's not just physical, it's mental. Some people are just caged up in their minds, and they're the ones that put the chains on themselves. They're caged up by their fear. They're caged up by their thoughts. They're caged up by their feelings. They're caged up by their doubts. They're caged up by their worries. There's 90 more days left in this year, and you have to decide today what you want to do. So everybody, really quick, just put your hand on your heart really quick. Find that heartbeat. Feel that beat. That's the heart of a lion. That's the heart of a champion. Because we know within every man and woman lies the heart of a lion, but some of us just don't realize it. So it's time for you to come out of the cage and free yourself. Now, I want you to imagine somebody that you love. Right now, if you need to close your eyes and do this, go for it. Just think about somebody that you love really quick. Somebody that you love. See their face. Now, I want you to imagine them smiling at you. And then I want you to repeat after me, because I can't hear you, but I can see you, okay? I'm getting out of this cage. I'm getting out of this cage. I'm getting out of the cage of fear. I'm getting out of the cage of doubt. I'm getting out of the cage of worry. I'm getting out of the cage of depression. I'm getting out of the cage of anxiety, of disbelief, of old habits, of negativity, of scarcity and limitations. I'm getting out of the cage that I put myself in. I'm getting out. That's what you're saying. I'm getting out. And I'm stepping into my destiny of who I'm meant to be, because I have the heart of a lion and I can do this. And I will do this. Come on, you guys, say it with me. I can do this. And I will do this. And I must do this. And it's one day or day one, you get to decide. You get to decide if you're going to keep sleeping and dreaming your dreams, or if you're going to wake up and live them. My challenge to everyone is, by the next convention on December 10th, you have two options. By December 10th, or by the end of the year, you can pick Christmas or New Year's, anything after Christmas. Fill up the 100 squares, because what you do in the next 90 days can determine the rest of your life. Just imagine being able to tell someone, I went hard for 90 days and it changed my freaking life. I appreciate every single one of you that was here today, that tuned in. And if you're not already, go to my Instagram, go to YouTube, all of that stuff, message me, look for exclusive stuff on there. But with that, Mr. Thomas, I'm going to pass it back to you. Thank you so much for having me on.